This is Eric. I'm making a game. It's called The God Killer. It's a top-down 3D puzzler written in Unity with C Sharp and many glorious innovations of my own, which I claim are innovations because I thought of them, but probably somebody else also thought of them and did it before me. Really, to innovate is just to be ignorant of whatever happened by somebody else's process. So, I could just be ignorant of shoelaces and just not even know what a shoelace is and invent a shoelace for the first time in my mind just because I'm ignorant. And then I would be innovating. At least that's one definition. It gets kind of philosophical. But yeah, so I create many new ideas to me, and they may not be new to anyone else. So yeah, my schedule. This thing I do right now, it's a live coding session, which always kicks off with a little demo, and basically I'll show you what my game is up to, what status it's at, and what new features have been added to it. I'll do that in the first 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'll move on to the actual work. So you're always free to kind of like check in with me with the status part and then drop off. I do that Monday through Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m.-ish Pacific Standard Time. And then Sunday, I'd have like a different kind of gig. Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m., I do some tasks that are not programming, art, level design, stuff like that. Okay, so if you want to join me for those live sessions, that's when I'm doing it. Let's switch over to my work view. I ended the last session with Unity crashing, and like a phoenix, it has risen. It's back right where it was the last time I saved it, and thankfully I saved it just shortly before I made a pretty substantial change, which crashed it. And now I'm wondering if that change was kept, if I got that one in the save right before it crashed. I'm going to take a look right now to see if I have to redo that. Oh wait, no, I was going to demo first before I start working. Okay, so I think I did some demos just showing off the cables. Question is, what about these sockets? So first I'll show like what a cable does. It's got these endpoints. Now if you are familiar with Unity, this middle one, you'll know what it does. It's just the regular positioner for a game object. These two other ones are added. They're handles that are defined by the script. And the cool thing about that is I can use them to move around the endpoints of these cables. I can put those cables any place I want. What I noticed when I was rigging up these cables the other day is that it's actually a little bit difficult to quickly get one of the endpoints exactly where I want it. And I created this thing called a cable socket. How a cable socket works is, oh, it's not there in the scene. Okay, so I lost a little bit. So how a cable socket works is it snaps to the location. So I could bring the endpoint close to the socket here, and it would go snap, except Unity crashed on me and lost one of the edits I made. So let me take a look at this guy over here. It looks like the socket is here. I may have an issue with these things automatically announcing their presence to a centralized manager when the scene loads. So let me see what happens if I click that register button, which is a little hack I put in, and I'll take this endpoint again. Whoops, the cable. Let me have that cable back. So the other thing that's kind of hard about these cables is selecting one, because they're kind of thin, and I end up selecting other objects when I intend to select the cable. No, I'm still not getting it. That's not it. So, geez, I guess that's another authoring problem to solve. Maybe there's a better solution for that. I still can just go through here. I can just grab one of these other ones. There it goes. There's a snap. Okay, so it needs some kind of registration. It's not being handled automatically by the scene load. I know how to deal with that. So it's got a good snap there. I pull it like a meter away and then it unsnaps. Pull it within a meter range and it snaps. That one is not in a particularly good place. So let me move it back to where it was. Okay, so these cables, I got them all over the place, and I'm basically continuing on my task of adding the cable sockets to points in my prefabs I want to be ready for cables to hook into easily. And that will make my authoring of these levels much more smooth and easy to do. And so I noticed now that I've loaded the scene from scratch that it did not self-register like I'd hoped. That means there's some code I have to figure out how to get it to be called. Let me bring up the C#. And no, I don't want to install anything because Visual Studio is such a fragile piece of nonsense that once I get it working, I just don't want to touch it. I've gone into this at length in the past. Okay, so cable socket. I'd hoped that reset would get called when the scene loaded. It does not. That's okay. That's all right. Maybe start gets loaded when in the editor when it begins. Let me just research that real quick. Oh, maybe I should do an awake. Start. So it's telling me I could do it this way. It also says that the attribute's being phased out. I'll tell you in general, as I've gotten kind of deep into doing stuff with editor objects, I feel like it's an area of Unity that is not easy to work in. I mean, don't get me wrong. They have a lot of stuff in there that works great and works quickly and is powerful. But as far as like figuring out from documentation the correct way to do certain things, like instancing prefabs, deleting prefabs, editing a mesh in the editor automatically, programmatically, I mean. All these little things give me minor problems, and I go to the Unity answers or Stack Overflow about them. I never get like a well-considered answer and like, what is the correct way to do all of these things? It's just like, okay, if you've got this particular error message, it means you need to do this thing. But it doesn't feel like anybody has really put down in one place, here are all the correct things to do together as a group if you want to do programmatic changes to objects and prefabs and everything inside of the editor. So I'm not real happy with all that. And even this, though, they say like execute in edit mode is being phased out. So the question is, what is the non-deprecated way to do the things I want to do? Before we rant too much more about that, let me just double read this. Make sure I didn't miss the answer to that exact question. I'll even make the text larger in case you want to read along. So okay. I guess they are telling me I can call execute always. And they say this means that my object is aware of prefab mode. The other thing that's been bothering me is I've been getting messages that hint that I'm trying to do something with prefabs, and the operation that I'm doing is not involving a prefab. So I don't have a lot of confidence I am taking prefab mode into account, or at least dealing with it the correct way. Okay. Okay. I think I'm going to follow this other guide here. Well, okay. I guess see what also this run and edit mode is. Nope. That's not what I want. Okay, so I should be able to use start. Do an execute always. Let's take this and make it execute always. Let's say public void start. I don't want to run this shit somehow accidentally in play mode, so okay. Don't know why the call to this is needs me to pass a game object. I understand prefabs. I understand game objects. I mean, how they're different. I understand instantiating game objects. I understand that you would not want to make edits to the prefab usually while you're in editor code. You wouldn't want to use editor code to do that. Almost always, you wouldn't want to do that. But their rationale for writing this code doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand why I'm passing a game object to isPlaying, and they say I do that because to check if the game object in question is part of the playing world. Okay. So maybe this function is okay. It really is specific to that object. Okay. So I'm not checking a general state with that. Okay. Okay, I got confused about what this function meant. I thought it meant, like, is the general state of Unity that it's in the player. That's not what it means. It means this object I pass to it is it one of the objects that's in the playing world, as opposed to one that might have been created by the editor. Still doesn't quite make sense to me, because as soon as I create an object in the editor, I think it is part of the playing world. I don't understand the distinction. I don't understand how you would have an object that's not part of the playing world. I understand how you could have an object that's not. Anyways, I might be overthinking this. So all this code should build out, compile out, because I've got encapsulated in this. So I'll do some tests on that though. So let's debug log. Start. And then this will be another place where I add the socket. Alright, so save that. Build all. The thing I don't know next is, well, there's plenty of things I don't know, but the thing I'm interested in that I don't know is, if I just run the player within the editor, will this code be built in that? Something tells me it will be. Something tells me I need to do like a full build to lose this code. I think that's how it works. But I'll know just by hitting run and seeing what actually happens. I said run, I meant play. It's like it's not even giving me a spinny. I hit the play button. Oh, there's the spinny. Okay. Okay. So I don't really actually care to play right now. I just wanted to start it to see, will it call that start code or not. I think it will. Yeah, it did. And this nonsense down a third-party script. Not worried about that. Okay, so that supports my theory that start will, code will not build out in just the player within editor run. So it leaves me with a question: how do I tell if I'm in the player or the editor? Because I want this code to only run in the editor. I don't mean the player in the editor. I just mean the proper editor without hitting the play button. So I'm going to ask Unity how to check if code running in editor. So that function I was looking at, it's like I want to tell this guy Matt227 why the platform defines won't be useful. Okay, so this function application is playing, which takes a pass game object. I guess there's another version. We'll just check if it's playing. So let me see if I can actually call that. If not application is playing. Okay. Maybe that was what I wanted the whole time. I don't know. So I remember having trouble with this before. So I'm going to run it again. I remember it giving me unexpected runs, which sounds like diarrhea. I remember it giving me diarrhea. Okay. Hit play again. I don't know if it actually built my thing before I hit play. This will be kind of a bad test. Okay, so it said start, but I'm not 100% sure that it had a chance to build. So let's do that. Explicitly build it. Really? God, this is annoying. Okay. What's this other one? Yeah, this is what I was talking about with the weird messages related to prefab creation within the editor and then switching between modes. Alright, so I'm going to clear that. And did I write this right? Yeah, I said if the application is not playing, sure. Let's do that. Start in editor. Let's do this too. Start. And here we go. Okay. So I think the code successfully. I had to name it the exact same thing as before though. Getting really paranoid with this. I know this is really boring and tedious. If some poor person happens to be watching, I am sorry to bore you. This is boring me, to be honest. Hopefully I'm going to be able to move past it pretty quickly. Okay, then I got a start in editor. A start in the editor. So when I exited play, I got a start in the editor. Which means that I should have now succeeded in writing the code which would register the cable socket so that it will do that delicious snapping too that I like so much. Okay, so then let's look down here. Start one. Okay, good. So that code is not going to run in just the player. It will run in the editor. So I will undo this. I'll unplay. So start in editor. Good. That means that I expect for snapping to work. There it is. There's the snap. Okay. So that was enough work. I'm just going to save everything and set like a little checkpoint inside of Git. Basically, I'm just going to commit everything because this is like one of those places where everything's pretty much working like I asked it to. And that's a good time to commit everything to Git. And if I do something else later, I screw it all up, I can come back to it. I shouldn't need this register thing now. Either reset or start either of those events should be able to set up the cable socket. There's this other object called the cable socket manager that's in charge of knowing where all the cable sockets are in one centralized place, and that's what this does. Each socket announces him or herself to the cable socket manager. Alright. I don't know, this might be like a good session to just waste on figuring out how to get all these stupid messages to go away, but I got a feeling that it won't be that easy. Okay, so get. do my git status to see, just a sanity check what's actually different. Okay, so add in my new files and then commit it all, everything, not just the source files but also all the Unity assets, prefabs, etc. Cable sockets working. My note to myself of what that commit means so I can go back and read it later after some great catastrophe. I can say, I remember the time when cable sockets worked. Let's go back to that happier time. Okay, next thing, I want prefabs of certain items to just have sockets attached to them automatically. I'm going to start with like an easier prefab than I chose last time. I'm going to do these corner rails. Alright. So just add this new script, and it gives me, should give me, like a new socket endpoint. Looking for it. Maybe it's, oh, there it is. Have no control apparently of where 000 is going to be in relation to the prefab. Unity just seems to set them randomly. I'm sure it's not random. It just feels random to me. It just feels really random. I'm sure somebody came up with a good set of reasoning for how these friggin' offsets are going to be calculated. But it doesn't make sense to me. Not now. It does not make sense to me at the moment. Some Jesus-like figure would need to explain it to me. Some guru, some Unity guru. So this is the task that I'm trying to avoid with the creation of these sockets. This three-dimensional positioning of objects that don't have any mass to them or any mesh to them. It's really kind of a pain in the ass to have to keep doing it. Got a little methodology to it, but if I can just have each prefab have one of these sockets just automatically associated with it, then all my cables will just snap to it. It'll snap to the corner of this prefab anytime, and that will save me the stupid effort that I'm doing right now. Okay, so if I'm following my methodology, I get XZ lined up first. I use the non-perspective view. Get lined up like that, and then I do Y. Otherwise, it's just silly. It's just silly. Okay, then I just mess with Y independently. There we go. Should be positioned right there. Yeah, it always feels like somebody's like knocking her around, or like it takes me like forever to just get it in one exact spot. It's not hard when there's like a mesh associated with it. Then it seems easier. Maybe I should decorate it with like a little sphere or something like that. Then I would have but you know why I don't want to do that? Because those gizmo spheres, they jump in front of everything. They're not a proper mesh. So yeah, I'll call that good. So if I back out to here, what I think should happen is that every rail like this should now have a socket attached to it. So I just edited the prefab. Prefab is like the pattern for all of them. So this guy, my northwest rail, does have a cable socket, so I did that right. So I'm just going to go and do the rest of the corners. Now let me just try it once, because I'm also interested. Did that automatic registration thing work? If I can select a really thin cable. There we go. Alright, so any northwest rail, it should have some snap now. God damn it. Am I close to it? Sometimes I can fool myself into thinking I'm close. I'm not close. It's that same sort of XYZ positioning problem. I think I am close. I think it's not snapping. I think it is the northwest corner. I think it is not registered. So that means that there's like maybe some other event. I understand why. I think I understand why. So let me move this up out of the way. So editing a prefab probably doesn't hook into one of those two events that I already covered. But can I do a reset? Because I know reset is one of those registering events. So reset. Okay. I gotta get the cable again. Friggin' cable. Oh, the other problem is when I do the reset on the script, it's gonna move the offset of the socket. Is that true? I think it must be. It must be. It must be. It's bugging me that I don't see that other handle. Oh, there it is. No, is that it? No, this is just the main object handle. Where's the actual socket handle? So it might have registered. It might have registered, and now I don't have a socket handle. Is it off in some weird place? There it is. It's friggin' way down in the boonies. Alright. Maybe I messed up that one somehow. Let me take a look at another one. Even worse, it's like way the fuck away. Can I not edit these handles inside of the prefabs? Is that the deal? It's making me angry. This is supposed to save me time, not add time. Getting like randomly assigned offsets to these things. I'm seeing if I can edit one of these things inside of the scene and then copy it onto the prefab and have better results. Oops, not like that. No, that's kind of fun. All right. So my socket, are you still selected? There you are. There you are. Bring you down. Okay. So take that and we'll update the prefab for the rail. I don't know. I might just use this session just to finish up the sockets. I think that might even be enough of an ambitious thing. So this one is northwest. There we go. So I go here. This one probably still got the socket in a weird place. Oh. Oh. It's kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense. So I clicked on a different object, and it's got the socket where I put it, but absolutely positioned. So whether I click on this game object, I get the socket here, or if I click on here, the socket's also in that same position. And I can almost bet that if I go and find another northwest rail, yeah, it's still got the socket over there. So I've succeeded in updating the prefab, and this is a case where I think Unity is doing something reasonable. It's just not what I wanted it to do. I want a relative offset, and it makes me wonder if these handles that drag things around, if they can be changed to update a relative offset instead of an absolute one. Well, at the least I should be able to keep a separate vector 3 which holds the local offset, and do something like when certain events happen, I override the world position with the relative one. Like if I can tie into the event, I think it's just reset for when an object is added to the world. I could have it at that time overwrite the world offset from a local offset. But I'm hoping for a more elegant solution. So, like for example, these handles that I've got, position handle. Is there some way that I can specify through some extra parameter or something? Maybe it's like a different function, that this is going to be an offset position. Let me check. What's the quaternion? It's just going to change the rotation. Okay. Well, okay. You know what? I don't think that this new offset need update. It's not coupled. It's not coupled to this value so tightly. So I could make sure that I always store a local offset or local position for the socket, but when I pass in this value to the position handle, I'll do a conversion to the world offset, and then it'll return back a world vector or world position. That one I can convert again back to local. So I think that's it. I think that is a trick to it all, and it means I'll have to do the same thing with the cable endpoints as well. But let me just start with that. So I have it all neatly in here and make a small update. Okay, so taking the current offset of the cable, let's call this vector 3 handle offset equals get world offset. And I wrote and deleted this code yesterday. I made a big show of not keeping around code that wasn't being used. And ironically, if I left that function here, I would have saved myself a little bit of work. So it's like I've got it on record that I was wrong in judgment from as recently as yesterday. So get world offset. Okay, so let's see. With the transform, I go. But I'm going to stand by my decision, because since I already did this once, it's not going to take me that much time to add in. And I really don't want my code cluttered up with unused functions. So okay, so it's transform point. I still don't understand the difference between transform point and vector. It seems like they're the same thing. Okay, and I could also just add a converse method. I know I'm going to need it. Set world offset. Okay, vector 3. Alright, it's going to be cool when this is working. I'll be happy about that. Okay, go back to, what was it, the cable decorator? No, not that yet. Socket editor. Okay. This takes my handle offset. I can just pass that instead. Let's see. Handle offset. I don't quite get how this begin change check works. I guess position handle would set some kind of change flag, but it must keep some state with it, I guess. I don't understand that part. So this, except for the begin change check thing, I would think this could be implemented entirely statelessly. You pass it the position you want the handle to be in. No, I guess it makes sense. So it can be stateless. or at least it can be limited state. You pass it this handle offset that you start with. If any change is made by dragging the handle inside of this little check here, then not only will it return something different than what you passed in, it'll also set some kind of flag, which end change check will pick up and use to signal that this code here should be executed. Okay, so then I want this, go there, and I can change this to call my new method set world offset, and use handle offset. Okay. So all those changes make sense to me. I feel like I'm in a logical mode now. I'm not doing trial and error. I'm not just trying things. There's a good reason why this code would work. And I'll actually be sad and I'll be disappointed if it doesn't work. I'll be like, reason has failed me. I'll be like, I thought I was wise, but I'm not yet wise. I'm definitely impatient. This build is just taking way too long. Alright, so then this might jump around after a little editor build. Waiting for the editor build. Sometimes I think it's done already, and then I go and try to do something, and that's when it jumps on me and it starts. Yep, there it is. There's the editor build. It's like, don't even try to do something. Just wait for the editor to decide it's time to start the build. Alright. Okay, so it did like throw the socket pointer off someplace else maybe. Okay, so do I have the same thing selected? Yes. Where is the socket now? I expect it's in a weird place. I need to correct. Yep. Threw it way out into space. But the idea is I can drag it. Yes. Okay. It's still behaving reasonably. Then I can move it over here. And now these numbers here, they should be a local offset from the other game object. So as I move this closer, those numbers should get smaller. Looks like my Y value is really. In fact, I could kind of cut to the chase and go 0, 0. Oh, way up there. Oh no, it went back down closer. Ah, yeah. So this makes me happy. It's behaving like a proper local offset. And also I've got a new tool to kind of rein in these crazy sockets. If I just want to kind of hand specify, get it close to the thing, I can just put in 0, 0, 0. Yeah, it's behaving very reasonably now. Okay, and so now I don't have absolute faith in this, but I feel like I have a reasonable hypothesis that when I update the prefab with this new offset that I specify that's now local to this game object, that it's going to actually correctly set the offset of this for all the other instances of that prefab. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that right fucking now. And let's see what happens. So that updates the prefab there. I've got all these other instances of this northwest rail. They all have their own sockets. Oh, look at that. This time it puts this little connector right where I want it to be. I'll go check my other one. Also in the right place. Okay. God, I love it when I make a plan and it's the right plan. It's the right plan. I thought it through and I got the results that I'd hoped for. This is a very satisfying time for me when that happens. Okay, so the next thing I want to check is if I've got like that automatic registration behavior I was hoping for. So let's grab the cable, because the whole point of this is to be able to just snap these cables onto the sockets. So I gotta be able to grab them. I gotta be able to grab my cable. There it is. Oh, but yeah. I forgot. Okay, so the cables, they have the same kind of problem. I won't be able to snap them yet. So they've got these start and end vertexes, which right now are absolute values. World coordinate system. I also need to make those so that they convert local to world as I drag them around, the same way I did with the cable socket. So once I do that, it'll be apples to apples, and I can have the snap to behavior. So let's go to the cable decorator editor. This might be a good time to also correct a different problem. No, don't bite off too many things. Okay, so let's see. Let me say that start handle equals cable decorator. Let's cable director get world. Let's see. How do I want to name this? Get start world vertex. Cumbersome. Not feeling happy about that name, but like, I don't know. It suffices. Get end world vertex. Good enough, right? Not everything needs the most wonderful name. Okay, so this is end handle. I could spend all day naming things if I wanted to. Just name this Jeff. Let's call this the Jeff vertex. Okay, so then this thing that comes back is going to be world, and I need it to be I do need it to be world when I call find socket. So find socket needs to be world. Anything where I check if the socket endpoint matches the socket cable, that needs to be world coordinates. Anything where I set the handle position needs to be world coordinates. Any place where I set the value in the object needs to be local. So local, this is complicated enough. I'm just going to add some notes so I don't botch it. World Okay. So start socket now equals no. We say okay. Yeah, okay. Start socket, and then what do I want here? I want this to be the snap to point in world coordinates. So this needs to be get world offset. Okay, good. That's also world. I'm going to be so proud of myself if I get this right. Okay. So then this guy It needs to be local, so it'll be the opposite way. We do okay. So then it will be equals, or I can do that whole set start world vertex, and that can encapsulate the conversion to local coordinates. Okay, so I think I got all that right. I'll leave those comments there for now. It's a bit of clutter, but I don't quite trust myself to delete them yet. I gotta write these two new methods. Pretty easy. So let me just go through it again. Check my thinking. So here, I'm passing in the world coordinates of the start of the cable, and it's returning back whatever changes were made by the user dragging on the handle. This will also be in world. Here, same thing, same pattern. So both of those are in world. Here, I'm checking inside of the socket manager. Is my world coordinate handle, which is a cable end, near another cable socket? If so, return the socket. And if the socket is what was found, then let's set the start handle not to where it was dragged to, but to the position of the socket. We'll snap it to the socket. Okay, same logic for the other end of the cable. And then I have let me just write the to-do here so I don't forget it. To do, add separate change checks for start and end cables so that don't accidentally snap wrong one. Okay, so down here for the cable decorator, I'm finally taking the modified handle position, which could have been snapped, could have not been. It's in world coordinates, and I'm setting inside of the cable decorator the new positions of the cable ends, start and end. These functions will convert them to local coordinates again. So let's go cable decorator and implement those functions that are currently all red squiggly lined, as though I've made an error. And I haven't made an error, I just haven't gotten around to writing those yet. So I forgot already the names of it, so let's just grab them. Just grab them out of here. Start world. Yeah. Okay. 3 local. Oh no, these ones I don't set anything, so those ones that, and then there's another one for end, and then there's two setters too. I suppose I could switch over to making like getter setter properties, but anything that has a like some kind of calculation in it, I tend not to do that. So oh yeah, these got to be turn something. Those are the 4 methods to implement. Transform. Let's see, return. I always forget, is it inverse or is it? Okay, so it's the other one. Okay, so this is local to world. Start vertex. I'll tell you, any day of the week, I'd rather work on this than debug issues with editor instancing. Just freaking irritating and weird. So this would be inverse transform point. Local. And this is not. Okay. Start vertex. Okay. So now, possiblemente, we can drag around these cable ends and it will store results in local offsets instead of world. Now I'm wondering if that was even a good thing, because maybe my logic was faulty. What if I kept them in world coordinates? If I kept them in world coordinates, then I would have no conversions to make. The only reason I put the other one in local was so that I could have it the offset duplicated across prefabs. I don't really need that. Okay. So I'm gonna undo the changes just in this file, which is irritating, but I'll leave those conversion functions in that other file, at least temporarily. Rewind. Just in case I go back to this. I don't think I will. Okay, so then let's add my comment back in. There we go. Put that there. Okay, then the other thing I know I need to update is when the cable socket is added, it's gonna have inside of it, it's gonna have local points, but the cable socket manager needs world points. It cannot compare local to local. It also occurs to me that I don't really need the whole socket object to be stored there. I can just store the transform. So I could say add socket, not the transform, the point. Yeah, I could say get world offset, like that. Yeah. Okay, I like that better. Oh, I remember why I did it that way. Because vector 3s are not nullable. Okay. Okay. So let's leave it how it was. Just go to the socket manager. And then here I can say and then the name is incorrect. Just world position. It's not an offset. Because it's absolute, it's no longer an offset. So I'll fix that little name problem. Cable socket. Get world position. Set world position. Cable socket editor. Rename these. Alright, build this baby. It might work. It's possible. I'm not unreasonable in thinking that this might work. I'll give it a 38% chance of working the first time. Alright, we'll wait for the editor build. And so what I think will happen initially is a whole bunch of these cables will look like garbage whenever I pull on them. No, that's not true, because I didn't change the world up to local mapping on the cables. So actually those should be fine. I might get a snap to behavior right away. That's that 38% chance I was talking about. Okay. I'm going to double check my Northwest rail. You just tell me when you're done. Okay. Northwest rail. Still the socket is in the right place. Let's get the cable end. Let's see if I can just drag it around. I hope I didn't regress that. Okay. Can I drag? Okay, good. So then, let's move it over. Yeah. That's the problem. You always can fool yourself into thinking it's close, but in 3 dimensions there's 3 axes to align on. So I'll get XZ first. Get this XZ down. Where'd you go? Now I gotta get Y. There's some kind of... I'm not sure if that's a snap or if it's just like a CPU challenged environment that I'm in with the broadcasting. But I would guess that it didn't register the snap point. But let me just check. I should be able to just eyeball this. 14, 17, negative 22. And then over here, yeah, I've got my local offset here, relative. So I'm guessing it didn't register. But I know how to make it register. I can hit play and come back from the editor, and that should register it on its own. So I'll be able to remove that cause of the problem. And if it still doesn't work, then that'll mean a different problem is there. So the registering is that every instance of the socket reports where it is to that centralized cable socket manager, and that should enable the snapping. So let me try it again. Gotta find that cable. Where are you at? Okay. What? It disappears when it gets close to the snap point. So it is snapping, but the mapping to a new coordinate when it snaps is off. So it's probably like it's got either local when it should be world or vice versa when it gets there. So the snapping is working halfway. Okay, so it said here that would take. Okay, right. Okay. So that would be my mistake. I need for the cable ends to keep world endpoints. And the sockets will have local. Waiting for the editor build. There's no button to my knowledge that says go and make the editor build. I just have to come back and wait for Unity to figure out it's time to build. I think it's like a kind of like a file system check where it notices that one of the files has changed. But it's a little bit slow, apparently. Okay. So now it seems like it's lost. The question is it a registration problem, or is it like it's not snapping because of some other reason? It's okay if it's a registration problem, because once I get this code where I don't have to keep touching it all the time, then I don't have to worry about the registration, because the registration should happen either when the scene loads automatically or when the reset button is clicked on a decorator or a component is added. I just can't trap every single stupid event, apparently. So that should register it, hitting the play button and coming back into the editor. There's the snap. Okay, so there, finally. Okay, and that means also that any of those prefabs should have a similar snap. So I'll drag this over to the other northwest rail. There's a snap to that one. So now I have like an easy way when I'm working with these cables to attach them to things inside of the editor. And even though I spent maybe 4 hours so far on this cable socket thing, since I've got hundreds and hundreds of levels to make and maybe thousands of these connections to make, the cable sockets are it'll pay back. That 4 hours will pay back easily. So let me update the other prefabs so that they've also got that cable socket in. But before I do that, I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup. A little bit of saving, a little bit of git committing. I've gotten to the point where I just always expect either the editor or the IDE is about ready to crash on me. They are just not reliable creatures. So I promised myself I wouldn't leave unused code lying around, so I can take out that. True, yeah, true. cable sockets are prefab. I don't want to say prefab safe. Too much docs have been reading about whether things are safe with prefabs or not. Are good for storing coordinates in prefabs. Okay, let's update these prefabs. So I did the north west rail. Let's do northeast. Oh God. It's not like I have a slow computer either. This is a nice iMac. You know, it's like a maybe 3 years old. But man, Unity environment needs a lot of juice. Okay, so now this shouldn't go too slow. Especially now with my relative positioning. The socket just automatically appears here to start with. So all I gotta do is just kind of get a few things lined up. So the idea is like the cable might be sort of tied on to the very corner of this rail. Another thing I can do is just kind of memorize a few key position points. So I know this is probably going to be 2. X is 1. Negative Z. Yeah, let's see what it looks like. We get it kind of close. It implies certain numbers to it. Okay. So that. Is that it? Is that it? Do I got it? Yeah, I think that'll do it. Northeast. I'll just go through and do the rest. I can do this in the prefab editor too, which is kind of nice. Yeah, now I'm starting to get smart. Yeah, much better. Okay. So that was southwest. No, it was southeast. Alright, cool. So let's see. Do I want these side ones to also have points where you could attach to? I think I do. Maybe that'll give me more options. So let's do that. I won't do these diagonal ones, I think. Well, okay, before I keep adding stuff, let me just make sure that my new prefab's updated correctly. So if I take, hit play to start it going and do the registration thing. Alright, let's get that cable. Let's get that cable. Click on that thin cable. Alright. So my assertion is that I can drag it to another corner and it will snap. Is that a snap? It is. I can drag it up here, it'll snap. Weird snap, but yeah, it did snap. God, what am I even pulling on there? That was weird. No, that's the cable. Okay. Let's make it thicker. Man, this is just getting hard to see. So just make a giant thick cable. That'll be my thing I'll test with a little bit. Okay, so pull this over here. You gonna snap? Or are you gonna snap? Oh, you're not close enough yet. Okay. You're gonna snap. There it is. There's a snap. It also like plows through some polygons, but that's okay. All forgivable. Yeah, so snapping's working pretty well. Okay, so I know the methodology. I'm just gotta go through and set up these snap points, these cable sockets, and the other prefabs. Will not take me long. Just set up a little factory here where I create my cable sockets. Oh, these ones might even be easier. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Kind of thought you would be more aligned. Huh. Yeah, that's quite weird. Alright, so if I go 0 and 0, that's where the socket is. I could move this thing over to there. Just the way that it picks all the offsets for things, it has never made sense to me. Never. Never, never, never. Am I at least at the right height? Let's try that. Yeah, I should be a little bit precise with these coordinates, I think. Okay. All right. So that's east. Alright, this one looks more reasonably positioned to start with. Okay. Done pile. Put it in the done pile. got that. Okay, so that's east, and then I got west. And I'm not going to do the stairs for now. Oh, I forgot. I'll just do it. Q. Alright. So that's pretty cool. To me, at least. It won't be cool to the fawns. And the fawns won't be cool to people that are younger than 40 years old. Okay, so then the other thing I wanted was the corners and the middle parts to have sockets as well. So let's go to that. I know what I have to do on this one because I did it yesterday, right before Unity crashed. And I just saved because there's a good chance that the same thing I'm doing here is going to make it crash again. Good chance. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I kept it. It's got it. I don't know that the... Okay, it's gonna be way off. Okay, cool. So somewhere far away from the place where I originally placed the socket, there is a socket. I don't know where it is. There it is. Crazy fucked up place. It's just because I changed the coordinates from world to local for the sockets. So I gotta get it back under control by just hand editing the socket location. Okay, that's not bad. I might even be able to just use numbers to get this where I want it. Yeah, that puts it right in the middle. And I can take the values from this and I can just paste them to the other ones that should also have the same value. Cool. So now I've got my socket right in the middle for each of those, just like I wanted. Here again, the socket's off in some crazy faraway place. I just reel it in by setting these local offsets close. There it is. And I already know that I can just by hand get this right in the middle. Wait a minute. 0.05. Negative 0.05. No, doesn't seem quite right. Oh, that's right. It's 0.10. Okay. 0.1, I mean. Okay, so copy those values. No, not those. do gotta hand it to Unity about like this group editing stuff. Very well done. Okay, just moving on. Not too much more left on this. It's happening. All my dreams are coming true. My dreams of cable sockets on every object by default, on every object I want them on, perfectly placed, part of a system of system of precise placement of cables. Let's say even most professional cable installers, electricians, circus tent, construction crews, they don't have a socket system like I do. They don't have this. They're not advanced enough. Hey, Pegasus, Gosum, 167. Pegasus, Gosum. I don't even know. Yeah, what's going on? Okay, cool. Okay, but man, you are sounding kind of a little bit bottish. I mean, not. I mean, you'd be a very advanced bot, though. I don't know. I don't mind a little bit of self-promotion. I do not mind. I'm doing it myself. These things are forgivable. Alright, so I'll go back to the scenes. Save it. Alright, I'll tell you what, I will even look at your profile later on. Now, I would be amazed at the level of bot achievements if Pegasus Gosum was actually repeating back phrases that it got through speech recognition. That would make me feel like I was part of something special. So let us take the cable, and I don't think it's going to snap to corners yet. I don't think it will. What is going on with that? It's like it won't even allow movement of the cable. It's like too much snap. That's too much snap. What's going on with that? I don't even know. Oh, object has been destroyed. But you're trying to. All right. So if I take this and go like that, okay. Yeah, I just hate this stuff. Well, hold on, let me see. Yeah, it's in the call delay function thing. Now I have to use that call delay function in order to perform an operation in response to a change in inspector properties or editor properties, but not do it right away. And I don't get how the proper way to do it is. I've not seen any code that showed a proper way to do it. Okay, so is this still locked? No. Some little state quirk. Something about building while at the same time maintain a reference. Okay, I had hoped that that would snap. Am I not close enough? Yeah, I don't know, it's not snapping on anything now. Oh, actually I might be off in my positioning. I don't know. I think that should be snapping. It's not. So what to think about that? It means I can't end the session yet. That's one thing. I was hoping to end the session right here, but I can't. I can't because I don't like to end in failure. Sometimes I have to end in failure, but I'm not gonna just readily fail like that so easily. So what's going on? I think I can do another build in the debugger. Here I expect no. Oh, I do have sockets. Huh. I got 32 sockets. I was thinking I wouldn't have any. So I can also see what they are. They're rails. And I do have just one socket for a corner. So basically it didn't register the prefab changes I made. So let me double check that I've got sockets in the corners, and then I'll do that play restart trick to get it to oh god, are you gonna crash me? No, good. Oh, I know why. Because unlike the rails, these do not have an active connection to the prefab. So here's what I do. I run the decorator again. The decorator will generate new clones of all the corners from the prefab. I'm going to save the scene again, because this is the type of stuff that somehow had me crashing before. Apply the level decorator. This will take a little bit of time. So what it's doing right now is it's scanning through every single square cell of the level. It's saying, can I add a decoration to this? Should I add a decoration to this? And then it puts all these little corner pieces and edges and these little pipes that come down in those places automatically. And that's where the prefab instancing occurs. At the beginning of it, it's going to delete all the existing ones and basically recreate them from scratch from the prefabs, which should now have the sockets in them. So I'll see pretty shortly. Just gotta wait for the decorations to be added. I think it won't need the registration either, because no, you know, it might. The registration stuff's kind of irritating. I think there might be some other event that I want to hook into. I might just do update. Pegasus goes some... Dude. It's not cool now that I think about it. Because you just kind of parroted back what I was saying without actually considering it, and you started talking about what you had to offer. And you said, look at my stuff. And it actually would have been better if there wasn't like the flattering stuff at the beginning. Um, Good quality. This is so accurate. Gamedev. Cables must be plugged into sockets. Now that I think about it, cables must be plugged into sockets was the text that I put in the title of the stream. So yeah, first I was thinking like, wow, this bot might be like listening to my audio and picking up data there. But no, it's grabbing text. It is a bot. It is a bot from Botland, and all the information that's in the text was simply parsable and retrievable by bot skills, screen scraping, stuff like that, Twitch API. So no, I'm not going to look at the website address in your profile image. But I've already spent more time thinking about you than you have of me. So I guess I'm the loser. Alright, so now we'll... God damn, this editor stuff. So it's like there's some state that it had, and it lost it because of something. So let me hit play and come back to it. This might be like a problem with procedural generation inside of Unity. There's all these little weird errors to get around. See, now I'm able to drag it. That whole thing it was complaining about is no longer an issue. Okay, so am I getting the snap on the corners? That's the next thing. Okay, do I have in the prefab freshly generated? Yeah, I do have a socket. Okay, and you should have registered. Maybe I'm off. Yeah, I'm off. I'm not like... there's the snap. Got it. We are snapping. We are snapping on all the corners, wherever we want, all the rails. I suppose I could add some more little things to hook up to inside of these other edge pieces. But I don't know. This is a good victory point. This is a good point to stop the stream. And even I'm not even gonna let like Pegasus go some 167 get me down. I'm not gonna do it. Maybe bots need love too. Okay, so that's it. If you joined me, I thank you. There'll be more of this. You'll see the next one tomorrow night, Wednesday. I mean, if you watched whatever this is on Tuesday, then Wednesday I'll be back at it. I'll pick something cool to work on next. I don't know quite yet what it's going to be. It might be this thing called wall panels, which would be more procedural generation, but it would hook up little panels on the walls in interesting patterns. I think the procedural generation on this is going to be pretty impressive when it's all done. It already is doing things that make me happy. So that's it for this stream. Talk to you later. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Bye now.